everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're well. My video starts with a short clip of Sulmona Market. So the market comes to Sulmona twice a week on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and they've had to move it because they have jousting, which we are going to see tomorrow. Then I move on to going up into the mountains and some really windy roads next to the mountains to have Arrostacchini, which I do a short video about. And then please do watch my rest of my video, which shows a different apartment, and I'll explain why, and me tidying up and sorting out the kitchen as we're about to leave this accommodation. So here we are on the top of the mountain. So we've travelled about an hour from Sulmona in Abruzzo in order to try Arrostacchini. So there's lots of tourists here, but also lots of Italians. And I'm not going to lie, some of the hair bends and the little mountain roads were a little bit scary. I certainly started feeling a little bit car sick. But up here the air is really, really fresh and clean. And Arrostacchini is lamb skewers, and you can have lamb and liver or just lamb. Cook it as how you want on a particular type of barbecue. So I will do some clips of us cooking the food. My husband's gone just to check to see whether my daughter can have it because of the cross-contamination risk. So he's just gone to have a little look to see whether it's possible for her to have some. I really hope it is, because she's really been looking forward to this. And if she can't, it'll be a bit of a shame, because we could have bought some lamb from a local butcher's and then brought it up and cooked it at the same time as we cook ours. But hopefully she'll be able to have some. So the weather up here is quite nice and warm. It's certainly cooler than what it is down at the bottom of the mountains. And I will do some clips of us cooking the Arrostacchini as well as the mountains, because the scenery is just incredible, breathtakingly beautiful. And I was told the other day that actually 75% of like European flowers and fauna is here in Abruzzo. We're all Europeans here in Abruzzo.
Oh, vado? Vai. Non so what
Yeah? So while you're having a little look at some of my photographs, I thought I'd go through some of your comments, and what lovely comments I've got. Thank you so much. So Carolyn Quinn said, "Thank you, Emma. What an informative, beautiful video. Usually the more expensive the dishwasher, the quieter it is." So that's interesting to know. So a couple of you have commented about dishwashers and how to stack them, which of course I've got no idea about at all. A couple of you have said like not to put saucepans in, that you wash saucepans separately, and to put glasses at the top. I did actually find one time I took the items out and there was still rice and food on some of the items. So I'm guessing I put too many items in perhaps, and put some things on that were a bit too dirty perhaps. So thank you for those tips. And certainly with the quieter dishwasher, if I do get a dishwasher, I do want it to be very quiet. So thank you for that tip. M Faircloth said, "Hi Emma, your holiday looks spectacular." Oh, thank you, Emma. "Your daughter keeping up with reading, writing and maths during summer break is awesome. Way to go." Yeah, it's not easy, Emma. Yeah, we're kind of persistent with that to try and make it fun and to make it enjoyable. And certainly with the writing, to make it more like scrapbooking. And she does like the reading. She's not so keen on the maths, but I've been sitting with her and doing that together. It's funny because although she's an only child, because me and my husband are quite sociable, we do find that she likes that interaction, you know, where typically only children are, you know, quite happy being by themselves and that sort of thing. She does like that interaction. And Emma goes on to say, "Yes, we also do the wishbone breaking with our pinky finger in South Africa." Well, that's interesting. So loads of countries do that, and one person told me that was more than like 2,000 years old, the tradition. Fascinating. "The bells are beautiful. Love your commitment to YouTube and us as your fans." Oh, Working hard even on your holiday.
Let me take a
Well, I
clip.
kind of figured that I've got to still do some of these chores. So I thought, well, I might as well record it, and also you can see like different layouts of different apartments, which I think is interesting as well. Thank you for taking us to Italy. What a treat. You and your hubby do really well with your daughter's allergies and eating out. Very considerate of her and her feelings. We also prefer self-catering over a hotel. Thank you for your lovely comment, Emma. That's very kind. Linda said, beautiful. Thank you for sharing these recordings with us. Tracy4 said, thank you so much, Emma, for sharing your holiday with us. Everywhere looks absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Tracy. NBig860. I'm just getting back from a visit to Tokyo, and now I get to go along on your holiday. What a treat. Wow, I'd love to go to Tokyo. That is somewhere we would really love to go. So I need to pick your brains on where you went and what you did. And actually, the funny thing is, one of our neighbours back at home flew to Tokyo, not yesterday, the day before. So I'm getting to see their holiday pictures as well, which is nice. Janet Sides. So you did do the DNA check then, Janet. She put, I have done DNA, my cousin as well. We have Eastern European DNA. We would just love to find who he was before he was orphaned. Thank you for sharing your vacation with us. Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, it's very hard, isn't it, sometimes, where if somebody has been adopted or been orphaned, I guess you get to a brick wall where you just can't research any further. It must be hard. I understand that, wanting to know. We've had that with a family member. My great-granddad. We didn't have much information about him, so I do understand that feeling. Bluebird said, I'm a football fan and I enjoy watching the Premier League games on TV. Well, today I just happened to drive by a pitch where Aston Villa Football Club was training. I couldn't believe it. I saw the bus and it took me a minute to realise what I was seeing. It was just a quiet road, no press or fans, just the team training. I was very excited. Wow, what are the chances? That's great, Bluebird.
Look at these ones, Emma.
No.
There's a card there for doing your best. And then I'll get some lovely arancini.
So we've just come down from the top of the mountain on the plains and decided to stop here because it's just incredibly beautiful and so peaceful. Like literally, when I stopped speaking, you could only hear the wind. So yeah, just in terms of that comment there from Bluebirds, Bluebirds, I hope you follow Norwich City, although sadly they're not in the Premier League, are they? They're what I call a yo-yo club. But yeah, how exciting to suddenly see the team just being coached. Incredible. And then we've got a comment from Andrea, Cook Mum 3. So Andrea says, I typically do not run the dishwasher till right before bedtime, so about 8 p.m. because of the sounds, but now I don't care because you do get used to it. Yeah, it's that white noise, isn't it? You don't hear it. A bit like when a clock is ticking in your house, and then sometimes you really, really have to listen to try and hear the tick. I've never heard about gammon, ? Spelling. So it's not G-A-M-E-N, it's G-A-M-M-O-N, and it's quite thick sliced pork. And in England, it commonly is served with like a pineapple ring. Not sure why, whether that's an English thing or what. Emma, yes, it is much, much more less, and it's less money eating in versus eating out. Because like me, a family of 5 and the same thing, no hotels, is easily several $100 of savings just in food and treats like cookies and ice cream. Yeah, that's it, because you've got more children, so it must be so much more expensive. And she goes on to say, especially in the mountains, everything is marked up double the price. Like hamburger in town would be $15, but in the mountains, $30. I was so mad. It just feels like you're being ripped off, doesn't it? It's awful. It happened one time since then. We had another child and determined to cook our meals, period. I do prepare easy meals, but still, ice cream treat 5 times. Yeah, that's very frustrating when you feel like you're being charged so much more. I mean, the good thing here is that I think it's a combination between the area that we're in and the fact that the pound is quite strong, that actually the food out is quite good. So, for example, one morning we had croissants each, so me and my husband. My husband had a decaf latte, and I had a bottle of water. My daughter had a bottle of water, and then she had her food from home, something that she could eat. And that came to €4.70. I nearly fell over in shock. I thought that something had been missed off the bill, because at home that would be £10 easily, so like €11. And we've noticed the same thing, like really, really lovely pizza, and then for two of us, it's like €5, which I better not speak too loudly about the good prices, because they might put the prices up for us, mightn't they? And then Andrew has also said, I absolutely love turtles, especially babies. When I lived in West Germany, I had 2 water turtles. Oh, have we had this conversation, Andrew, before about tortoises and turtles? Because I've loved them since I was about 8, and I've had 2 fantastic tortoise cakes, turtle cakes. One when I was about 10 that my mum made, and then one for my 18th birthday. Andrea goes on to say, will you take pictures of your meals out and about? Well, we're not really having dinner out and about. We've eaten dinner at home. But as like obviously in this video, you'll see the arancini that we're having. And then Andrea said, I'm still trying to figure out why your hubby insisted on bringing small clothes. Lol. Were they his clothes or yours that were too small? With lots of laughing faces. Yes, so what happened was, my husband does all the packing, but I prepare the piles. So I'd got a pile of my clothes, a pile of my daughter's clothes, ready for him to then put into the suitcase. But they were like a pair of denim shorts that were like a small size 12 that I can get up to about my thighs. A couple of other tops that I had sorted out that I didn't want to bring, and I think a dress and a pair of trousers that were too small. And I put them in a pile that were clearly in a separate part of the things I wanted to bring, but my husband thought that everything needed to come on holiday with us. Now, I know you're watching this part of the video and wondering, what on earth is Emma showing me? What on earth is going on? Well, there have been a couple of things that have happened in this accommodation. So we moved in, settled in, emptied all of our suitcases and put all the clothes in the drawers and wardrobes. And then the host told us that he'd put us in the wrong apartments and that we needed to move. Now, you can imagine I wasn't best pleased with that, but it seemed like there wasn't really an option, because he'd got another group of 5 coming in, and that group of 5 needed to be in our apartment, because our apartment had a sofa bed and was slightly bigger. So we kind of accepted that. That night, when we moved down, we had a power cut. Suddenly in the middle of the night, all the air conditioning, everything went off. So it turned out these new air conditioning units he just recently had fitted, they can't cope all being on at the same time, as well as somebody, say, using the dishwasher or using the washing machine. So that happened. And then the day after, I woke up to that dripping noise. So literally water was coming through the ceiling. So after a bit, I said to my husband, well, maybe they've got some sort of problem upstairs. So I went upstairs and spoke in my very broken Italian to explain the water was coming through the ceiling. Now, to be fair to the host, he actually got everything sorted out in a record amount of time. So like the electricity problem, he sorted it out in a couple of hours. The plumbing problem, he got a plumber in, sorted it all out. And actually all where that water was sort of spreading across the ceiling, that all dried out really, really quickly. But I was getting worried because it was getting closer and closer to the light. But can you imagine waking up to that? I was like, oh my goodness, the ceiling's going to come through. But thankfully it wasn't as serious as what I initially thought. And then I've got a couple of videos of where we climbed a mountain. It was absolutely exhausting, I won't lie. The following day, I could barely walk. My hips ached, my knees ached, everything ached. I also fell down on the way down the mountain, which that is another story. I might tell you a little bit about that on another day. And then today we left this apartment. So you'll see that the kitchen design is similar sort of obviously units, but different design to the one that I showed you yesterday. And actually we probably preferred this apartment, how it was designed, and the air conditioning unit worked better. So it was nice and cool in the bedrooms. So I was putting all the dishwasher on as we were getting ready to clear up the kitchen and leave for our journey on to our next destination. So we've really loved it here. We really love the town, and we're actually coming back. Even though we're going over to the coast, we're actually coming back tomorrow to attend the jousting event. So we're quite excited about that. We've never seen anything like that. This is a medieval tradition that they brought back about 20 years ago, and looks great fun. So I needed to tidy up the kitchen, sort the kitchen. Oh, here you can just see me. My daughter wanted you to see the flag. We bought the scarves of the group that we're going to follow. I had all my washing was nice and dry. That all needed to be packed away. So I folded that all up to get ready to pack. I don't tend to put any items in the suitcase. My husband does that, but I obviously help to prepare things. At this point, it's really, really hot, and we've got quite a hill to the car. So he was taking the big cases all the way down the hill. I tidy up, I water all the plants, because even though it's not my apartment, I don't want the man's plants to die, and it's been so hot. I was giving them a water. Put loads of things away from the kitchen. So we've got red wine vinegar, a balsamic vinegar. So all the condiments and everything needs to be packed away, along with all our dry foods. And then we had all the items in the fridge. And I meant to take the ice creams out of the freezer to have one for my lunch, but we left the ice creams in the freezer, unfortunately. Packed up the car and then drove to our next destination. On the way to the coast, we did stop in a couple of little towns and had a little look round to get a feel for some other places, and we're probably going to go back to those places over the course of the next week. So you can see it's a really nice design with the second level up, sort of as a mezzanine level for the dinner table. We like that design. And this is the master bedroom. And I was just watering those plants before we left. And then we spoke to the people who were above us in the end. There are 2 floors above us. They've got the penthouse apartments with the terrace. And they said to us, they were English, and they said, oh, would you like to have a look? So we went up there and had a little look. But you can see I've got loads of things in the fridge that all need to be packed away. I was cooking my daughter's beans that she had for lunch and sorting those out. And we found some chips that she could have. Because we've got an oven, we cooked the chips for her lunch as well. So we got rid of most of the freezer items because of that. I loaded up all the dishwasher. I've looked at some of your tips and suggestions for dishwasher. I haven't read through all of them, but I was trying to bear them in mind as I put all the items in the dishwasher. And there were a couple of things that I didn't have time for, so I just washed those up. Although I have to say, this design of the kitchen would not be allowed in England. Because can you see where you stand to wash up in the sink, how easily it would be to burn your arm on the saucepan? I mean, maybe they think that nobody washes up at the same time as cooking, but I do that all the time. So I do go to wash up, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, there could be a disaster here. So I move over the beans to the other ring to not risk knocking the saucepan and getting boiling water all over my arm. I've also noticed since last time we were in Italy that Italians seem to be getting better and better at recycling. Because previously, so we were last in Italy in February of last year, and then in the summertime the year before, and you have to put everything in the rubbish bin. And given what I'm like in England, like being really, really careful with recycling, I find that quite uncomfortable when you're so used to recycling. Suddenly putting glass and cardboard in the bin makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. Strange how you get into a habit with things, isn't it? That's what I always think. Yeah, so you'll see a little bit more of this video and me sorting out the kitchen. And then right towards the end of the video, I share with you the lovely bells, which play this really nice little tune. So you'll hear a recording of that right towards the end. And then just before I go, I'll tell you that little bit about the mountain. So we organised my husband booked tickets for us to go on this nature walk with the chance of being able to see bears or wolves. But of course, you're in a national park. So the chances of being able to see some of these things are very, very slim. I think there's about 40 bears left in the whole of the national park. So what we said was, if we don't see any bears, don't see any wolves, that's absolutely fine, because we will have seen all the Abruzzen wildlife, and just being out and climbing a mountain was obviously a massive thing to do. So we didn't tell my daughter that we were going up a mountain range. We just said we were going up on this sort of long walk, which was quite steep. I felt like that was a bit off-putting to say that we were going to be climbing a mountain. So we set out at about 3:30. We left a little bit later because the guide was waiting for some Dutch people, but they just didn't arrive. So it ended up just being us three, which was fine. He looked extremely fit and told my husband that he goes up on the same trek up and down this mountain 6 times a week. He does the guide, the trip, every single day. Oh my goodness, how fit must you be? But he said that we kept at a good pace and that we weren't too slow, which was good. I was extremely out of breath at some points, but it was lovely, really lovely. There were wild raspberries, wild strawberries, but so many species of butterflies that we'd never seen before, lots of different insects that we'd never seen before. We also saw on the top, when we got to the top, we sat down and you could have something to drink, have something to eat, and just get your breath back and relax. And we were given binoculars so we could look round to see if we could see anything. We saw some stag deer, which was really good, right in the distance. We didn't see any bears or wolves, but on the way back we saw 4 foxes and 4 minks, which I've never seen in the wild, and they look so cute. So that was a good experience. And the one thing that we felt was that he was very, very knowledgeable, and he knew about all the flowers and the fauna, and he knew about the national park, which, he's got an incredible amount of knowledge, and spoke English very well. But he was very quick. And I did say to him about how fit he was and how quick he was. And he said, oh, yes, I can't go slow because I get bored. And I did sort of think, well, you've been paid to be a guide. This is not about your own fitness and your own enjoyment. I know obviously it's great to enjoy your job, but when you're a guide, you can't be seen to be racing ahead, can you? And leaving people behind. Well, on the way back, my goodness. So imagine you're coming down a mountain, you don't know the trail, you don't know the way at all. You've got a light on your head, and you're obviously trying to look after a child. So we were looking after our daughter, making sure she doesn't fall and that she's okay. And he goes right off into the distance. So, my night vision has improved recently, but my night vision didn't used to be that great. So I'm straining to try and see him. I tried to keep my headlight off as long as possible, because he didn't advise us this, but obviously as soon as you put the light on, insects are attracted to you. So they start flying around. So I had the head torch on my head. My husband and daughter were holding theirs because they'd found they were getting a lot of flies round their face. He didn't. He put a light on, so he had his torch and held it down, but he was going right into the distance, and I actually started feeling a bit under pressure, oh, we've got to hurry. And I said to my husband and daughter, we mustn't feel under pressure, because this is a trip that we've paid for. He's our guide. I'd asked him twice if he could slow down a bit, And then I said, and my husband said, well, say it again. I said, well, can you say it? Because I've already said to him twice. So my husband then said to him, oh, can you slow down a little bit? So he held on for a moment. And then I managed to somehow trip up, slipped, fell down. At the time, I didn't realise I'd cut my knee, but I ended up cutting my knee. And he stopped because he obviously heard the commotion, but he didn't say, are you okay? Has someone fallen? Is everyone all right? And it was like he was on this major race to try and beat his average target of getting down the mountain in like an hour. I think it took us about 3 hours to get up, and it only took us 1 hour and 40 to get down. So it was a fantastic experience, but and the people that we went with have got the best reviews, and certainly his knowledge was second to none. But it was just this race. The race to get down the mountain as quickly as possible. Goodness me, that was like pitch black. Absolutely pitch black. And of course you've got a chance of seeing a wolf or a bear or wild boar through the countryside. So it was absolutely amazing. I would recommend it if you ever come to this area yourself. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you're all well. Please let me know what you've been up to. I love hearing about the different things that people are doing all over the world. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!